Hello, Jules. How are you? Welcome to the podcast. Yeah. What's going on?
Hello, hello. All good. How are you, Pius? Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. I'm great. I had was this weekend in London. It was very vibrant and pumping. Loved it.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm happy to be back and speak with you today. Yeah, it was sunny actually in London. I got sunburned. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's surprising.
yeah. It is. I didn't expect that. Yeah,
Nice.
well, I'm so excited to have you here today. So, here, this is the podcast at Subscribe to speak with founders and entrepreneurs and people who build stuff. So, thanks so much for your time. And you also helped us in our initial stages to create this amazing narrative that we used, actually not for fundraising, but for positioning,
That's true.
which for our customers. So, we're fundraising to win customers in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for that, and I'm so excited to have you here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and about your background and what brought you here. Like you could do a lot of things. So why are you here today?
Yes, thanks so much for the intro. And yeah, so I mean, my background is mainly in marketing, I would say. In the last 7 years, I've worked in different positions in marketing roles. So from corporates to scale-ups to startups, all kinds of marketing roles. And in the last, let's say, 3.5 years, I focused a lot on the early stage startup ecosystem, and that's where I kind of stuck stayed because I really like the environment and the people and the founders you can work with. But the focus has always been more in the last years, not only on like marketing, but also on the whole fundraising topic. So it was a lot about how to get like from a very early stage to the next stage where you can actually grow and scale up and get also actually to the next funding round. So that's what interesting me the most in the last, let's say, year or so. Not only the marketing side, it's very connected, I think, as well to fundraising, but also actually the fundraising side. Can I, as an early stage startup, get funding? From whom can I get funding? And that's how my path kind of developed. But originally, I focused a lot on marketing. Yes.
That's cool. So what companies did you work for earlier, and what sparked your interest on going into the entrepreneurial space?
Yeah.
Really, isn't it like cozy working for a company and nice?
Very, very cozy. Like, I mean, I started out at Adidas, and this was a big dream, to be honest, because my, big dream was always to work for a sports company. I'm a lot into sports. So I was always like looking to work in such a big corporate. And then my career started out in Adidas, which was crazy because it was like dream come true with the first job. And it was an amazing experience because working for such a big company, I think, brings so many perks and is very inspiring and cool environment, a lot of cool people, but it is also very comfortable. And that's kind of why I wanted to go out of there and also dive a bit more into the digital world. So I
What do you
was,
like about sport? You said you like sport. Like, what do you like about it? I like sports too. What do you
I
enjoy
mean,
about sport? What type of sport?
well, swimming mainly. That's also where I worked actually at Adidas. I'm swimming since I'm like a little girl. What I like about sports is that, I mean, it gives you such a special feeling, I think, and it has a lot to do with emotions as well. It's obviously also competitive. This is also interesting. Wouldn't say I'm super competitive person. I was probably in the past, but not that much anymore. But I think it's just like the emotions and the feeling that it gives you as well. It's also the place where I think you can disconnect with everything else. So yeah, it's a lot connected to how it makes you feel, I
Like Michael
think.
Phelps when he
Yeah, like
swims
my
with his eyes
wish.
closed.
Exactly. No, I mean, yeah, that's what I like about sport. But I not only like swimming, I like also other types of sports. Any sport I'm very interested in,
What's
actually.
your personal best in swimming? Like, what is it? What's your distance? 50
Yeah.
meters,
No,
200?
I swam a lot, 100-meter butterfly actually.
Oh, wow, that's rough, right? That's the
Yeah, it's
hardest.
rough. It can get even longer. So, yeah, I enjoyed that. I did everything because I swam when I was little, it changes also over time. And then obviously you have to think about at some point if you want to really pursue it, like, let's say super professional, or if you actually want to focus on school and stuff like that. And also obviously at an age where other things are getting interesting. So I dropped out at some point, but I was always connected to swimming and I still am. So that's why I also teach swimming now. I like to actually kind of show people how to swim because that's what I feel very confident in. And I like that other people, I can give this feeling back, kind of that they can also feel good in
Love
the
that.
water.
I think sport is such a great thing to connect, at least for me, with myself and my body. A lot of the action for myself is going on in my brain. Like there's so much energy and things like
Yes.
going in all directions. So sport really helps me like to calm down, and I tried
Yeah.
meditation. It helps as well,
Also
but not
nice.
as much as sport. Sport is like really the best thing for me. So yeah, that's really
Also
resonated with
feeling
me.
exhausted afterwards is
Yeah,
nice.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your second best sport after swimming? Anything new you discovered in the last year or two? I try to do a new sport every year. Yeah.
Yeah, I try also a lot of different things, to be honest. I'm also not pursuing so much anymore super competitive, let's say. I am trying it more for fun. So I did a lot of running, which I hated in the past. I did also cycling. Now I'm trying a lot surfing, which I really love, also connected to the water. I also like spinning, like, yeah, I like a lot of different
Anything.
things.
Yeah.
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 A lot of endurance stuff, to be honest.
But then you made your passion your job at Adidas.
And
And
then that was too much.
then you it wasn't comfortable because you were still working a lot there and learning with your which was your dream job. And then you would start working in marketing and startups. So what happened? Like, where did you start
Yeah.
first? Yeah, I'm curious now.
First, I started in Runtastic, and that's also why I came to Vienna, actually. And it was obviously an easy transition. It was part of Adidas, and it kind of the topic was the same. It was just the whole digital part, so the Adidas running and the Adidas training app. And I was just very drawn to the whole digital world. First, I worked in more like classic traditional marketing role in product marketing at Adidas, and I wanted to go really into the digital world because I was more fascinated about marketing the products actually online and understanding how digital marketing works. And that's how I came to Runtastic. And there, obviously, like it wasn't a startup anymore. It was already a very established company with more than 200 people. So it's a different setup than working in a startup. And at the same time, I did a master's in digital management, and that's how I actually met one of the founders of Speedinvest Pirates. And that's how I got to Speedinvest Pirates then. And this was then really the transition to small, early stage startups, really startups at the very beginning, and working there on their marketing and growth.
Sorry, I'm a bit distracted because I'm just looking at my feed now. I was a power user of Runtastic. So if Felix Schwantner is the founder, right? If
Florian,
he
yeah. Yes.
Florian, I'm very sad that the app disappeared because I have been posting since 2014 or
That's
16,
a
and
long time.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was really early using it, and I remember it used to make this post on Facebook. It was like
Yeah,
really
that's a
random,
long
so
time.
like 2014 or 13, and I have all these posts of my Runtastics on Facebook. I mean, I'm lying. I think it was 2014 or 13. I don't know. And my
Could be.
friends would always comment like, "Oh yeah, he's running Facebook." The internet was very different than like Facebook and Runtastic, and we still used it
Yeah.
back then. Yeah, a bummer that it changed so much,
Yeah,
but
it changed a
actually
lot.
it's just evolved. It's now part of Adidas, so I think you can still use it, and it's part of
Yeah.
the community. So
Yeah. Yeah.
just evolved. Yeah, yeah,
Just evolved.
yeah. Cool. So, yeah, what fascinates you really about fundraising? I mean, obviously, is it the money? Do you like money, or do you like
No.
building things, or yeah, what is it's very different to swimming and working for Adidas, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
It's not the money. I was just kidding. I know that. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's a good question. I think like working at Pirates, when I started getting into the startup world, it was still, yeah, let's say at the end of the big wave where money was no issue. Like everyone was still raising, the whole startup ecosystem was buzzing. It was super easy to raise money and high valuations. And then when I got into this whole ecosystem, the whole coin flipped and the market environment changed. And obviously it became super difficult to get actually money and to, kind of fundraise actually in this environment. And I think as I was part of this switch, when I entered the whole ecosystem, I think I was fascinated about how it's kind of shaping the growth of the startups and how it's directly influencing kind of everything that we do. And it obviously influences whatever you do in your company. If you don't have the funding that you need to actually grow, you can't proceed. And I saw a lot of founders who had great ideas who didn't manage to fundraise or maybe just at the later stage, or also a lot of good ideas that didn't make it and that's, I think, where I got fascinated about this whole world, because I also didn't understand it. I didn't know what is VCs, and I didn't know, how fundraising actually works. I didn't even understand at the beginning, there are public and private markets and all of this, because you enter like a huge corporate and that's all what you know. But obviously there are so many different varieties of companies. What is actually a startup? And this, I think, fascinated me a lot, because I think there's much more opportunity. There's more things happening, more innovation. That's where people bring the cool, new, innovative stuff to the market. And that's why I'm so interested to kind of help founders to actually make it easier and get more confidence also in this whole fundraising topic.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that makes sense. So you have a passion on helping founders to succeed with their ideas or have a chance to succeed. It sounds like
That's
some
true.
of
It's a
the
chance.
having given them a chance to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would never actually consider myself as someone that would go out and build my own startup, because I admire everyone who's doing it, but I would never build a startup because I think it's such a crazy project, and it's nothing for me.
What makes it crazy? Why are you saying that?
Because I think there's so many aspects and components to it. And I think it's extremely difficult to grow from nothing a very successful company that can achieve a really high growth projection. I think it's very difficult. And I think it's very brave of someone to try that and have a crazy visionary idea and believe so much in it, to basically put everything on one card and go out and do that. I think that's not my personality, to put everything on one card and risk it. And I think I'm more secure in a kind of safe environment as well. Even if I'm not anymore in it, because now I'm also self-employed, but I'm not an entrepreneur in the sense of like growing a startup, let's say. I wouldn't
Yeah, yeah.
consider myself like that.
I mean, putting everything on one card, that is it's kind of true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Even if it's not all the money that you have, it is all the energy that you have
Yeah,
available
exactly.
and all the time. And I that's also how it feels for me. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I think, and this is how it feels for a lot of founders. And I also I really admire this, because that's very brave. Because obviously you could have a 9 to 5 job in a company and probably earn a lot more money and just
You
live
could
your
be much
life.
more unhappy, suffering in different ways, right? No, I am. I actually, I always make this joke. I shouldn't do that. That I'm not employable. I don't think it's actually true. I think I'm very employable. I just need to be at the right stage, at the right company. And I think that's also what I realize now, that there's an expiry date to your job, and that's okay. Or you evolve. But I think it's very good for anyone to change, whether it's going into a startup or doing something they're uncomfortable. At least for people like myself, that are entrepreneurial, and maybe I will go back to a job, or I will be acquired and then I work for another company, who knows? But yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think it's very good to know, okay, this is like a project as well. If you have a job, I feel, especially now, I think the market is very hard on the fundraising, but also job market. A lot of friends from myself in big companies, tech companies, they're getting laid off, or they're scared of being laid off. So it's less dynamic, I would say, on changing jobs, and people are more risk averse in many ways. Yeah, at the current time.
Yeah, 100%. And as you say, like it can change, who knows, maybe in 10 years I'm building my own startup. I don't know, I also would have not thought 5 years ago that I'm going to be self-employed at some point. I think it changes and it needs to fit to the situation. But I still think like also actually doing this specific startup journey, going for VC money, having to fight for customers, having to fight for employees, having to fight for investors. It's very, very tricky situation. And I think not everyone is cut out for it.
Yeah, but people are lucky to have you. So, like
Oh,
myself, yeah, it's true. Yeah. I think one thing I really like about working with you, I mean, who am I to say? But I think you have a really good feeling of the customer. I remember we did our video teaser together, and I just knew that you're gonna do a good job on it. I just knew that you help us think through it in a structured way, like almost like a great product marketer. When I worked at Meta or Canva or people I know that are really good, which I'm not at as good. And yeah, I can just see how you will think about the problem, but also in a way that it makes sense for it's actually practical and not just high up in the sky and hard to understand. So I think this was really, really nice. And you are a great person. So yeah, a
thanks.
great human. So yeah, that was really, really awesome. And actually, the video was quite impactful. So we had, I know, 4,500 views or
That's
10,000.
good.
I know, like I think 10,000, and people reposting us, and yeah. So overall, it was quite successful. No, thanks for that.
That's nice. Thank you. No, I think actually like what I like also a lot is to kind of think about how to communicate in the best way with different stakeholders. So that's something that always kind of interested me. And I think it's similar now with the fundraising part. It doesn't matter if you're doing marketing or fundraising, it's kind of similar. You always have to market something in front of your stakeholders. And no matter if it's a customer, investor, or your employees, you will have always to break it down in such a compelling way that they buy into it and they want to work with you. They want to give you money, or yeah, they want to buy the product. So I think this is what I actually like to put myself also and try. Yeah, to put myself in other shoes and other stakeholders' shoes and figure out what's the best way to present kind of your product or service towards them. And yeah, I think fundraising is very similar to marketing in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm a bad marketer or a mediocre marketer, and
I don't
I don't
think
know.
so. You're selling a lot, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure if
yeah, I'm
that's
selling in whatever sells. Yeah. So you want to build also a fundraising platform, right?
yeah.
So tell me more about that. What's going on there? Like,
Yes.
is it going to be the next Carter for Europe? How is it going to look like?
I wish.
It will be.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think the idea is to kind of go two ways. So on one side, at the beginning now, I'm planning to help startups individually. So spending my time really with the founders, helping in the background operationally, doing the whole fundraising part. But this is
What do you do operationally?
yeah, so I would do let's say like the different versions of the pitch deck, different size decks that I needed. I would research the contacts. I would write templates for, like direct outreach. I would write templates for intros to other people, research a lot. It's a lot of manual research as well about contacts and who can make an intro to whom, stuff like that. And so prepared there, really good structure to have this all ready, let's say, once you go out and actually fundraise. And with this also comes like the deal room. What documents do I need to prepare then? Maybe additional, decks or information that you need after the meetings with investors that you have to send through. So everything that comes up also during the funding, like ad hoc requests that the investors have, I want to see this, I want to see that, preparing the things in the background for the founder so that they have more time spending actually with the investors in meetings and discussing the details about the negotiation instead of like spending tons of time on these operational things.
Yeah, it is
So
hard. It is hard.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I think it's often like the job of a founder's associate as well, but not everyone has that setup. And maybe you just want temporary help in that. And that's when you can work with me.
Do you think founders should try to do some of it themselves, feel the pain of it, or not, generally speaking? Is it possible to do that without feeling the pain of getting rejected and all of that?
No, they will always feel that pain, because also if you have someone in the background helping you, I can't take this pain from you that people will reject you. And because in the end, the founder needs to have the conversations with the investors. I can only do as much. But I think if you're doing it smart, you can save a lot of time, because I think a lot of founders go into this with, okay, I'm going to fundraise now, and they don't really see the full picture, and they kind of go a bit naive into it. And it turns out then that it's much more work that they actually expected. And it flies then around them once they have to pull through with this. And they spend so much time, and also a lot of wasted time, I think. And
So
I see.
Yeah, no, that makes, sorry, interrupting you. Yeah, that
No,
makes a lot of sense. It's, I feel I learned a lot in my unstructured fundraising
yeah.
approach. But particularly the first time. I think the second and third time you get a feeling on what it's like riding a wave. Like I love surfing. It's like you know you need to paddle, and there's only so much surfing you can do if you don't paddle and build up strength for that.
Yeah.
I think that's like what fundraising is, because the actual fundraising process should be very short. 10 seconds on a wave or 20, right? But the preparation is really painful and hard, because you need to paddle all the time. And
yeah.
that's how it feels to me, very painful to get there. And then it's quick if it happens, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, like the startups I work with, they either have felt this pain and they don't want to feel it a second time. So that's why they say, hey, this time I'm taking someone who supports me on the way, and I know I can rely on someone else. And if you have a lot of or other co-founders that are in the boat with you and can also support you, I think then that's fine. And then there are founders who are doing it for the first time and they really don't know how to navigate this. So that's also when it makes sense. And some don't need it because they raise in a few weeks, because they have so much hype and traction and momentum that they will raise with whatever documents and whatever they have. That's also fine,
So what tool, like what system do you use, or tool do you use to structure yourself? Do you use Notion, or use HubSpot, the CRM, or everything? Like, what do you use for that? I can tell you what we use, but I'm curious what you use.
No, I mean, nothing groundbreaking, I would say. It often depends as well what the startup has already in place. So I adapt. Usually I actually at the beginning work a lot in spreadsheets, to be honest, because
Yeah, it's great.
It's just for me the most concise version. I don't know. I like to work in spreadsheets.
Most versatile, right? Spreadsheet is good for everything.
Yeah. And then later onwards, I think once you have the investors, you have more warm, let's say, connection, you can always merge it into Notion or into your HubSpot if you have one, but nothing crazy. Like I adapt to the tools that the startups are using. I think wherever they have the CRM, I would also add the investors. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. What is the most common CRM used? I'm curious.
I think it's
why?
I mean, I see a lot HubSpot, but a lot of startups are changing as well right now because it's getting very expensive. I think if you are like, it depends also what sales needs you have, I would say. I think Notion can be totally fine.
Really?
Yeah, I see Pipedrive, Salesforce, everything. It depends, I think, a bit on what are your needs on the
We
sales
love Pipedrive. It's our partner.
Yeah.
For subscribes, we do love them. I dream in green, in Pipedrive green.
Perfect. Yeah, see, so I think that's also preference.
But also know a lot of companies use HubSpot. We also do use HubSpot. HubSpot is great because it has the insights, right? It has everything.
It has everything, but yeah.
As you said, it's extremely expensive. And Pipedrive is better for that.
Yeah.
It's better for that, yeah.
And I think if you need some specific tools on top, you maybe want to have a cheaper CRM and then use some additional tools that you don't want in HubSpot. I mean, HubSpot has so many underlying things. So yeah, that you maybe don't need, but you have to pay.
What do you use to design your decks?
Oh, well, that also depends. No, I actually don't use so much Canva.
We use Canva a lot. Did you realize that?
I know.
Do you think we're crazy? Yeah,
No,
doing
I
that?
like Canva. I think Canva is very good for people who don't know how to design.
Like
Um,
myself, right?
it's very intuitive. I like Canva as well. No, I use a lot actually now Figma, but then Google Slides, to be honest. I build a lot in Google Slides.
Really?
Yeah, and Pitch as well. Pitch as well.
Yeah, Pitch has a nice interface and stuff.
And you can
I do
share the
like it.
deck with the link, and you can actually do tracking and stuff like this,
You
which
can
is
do that
also
in
not.
Canva as well, right? You know that. Yeah, you know
So
that.
yeah,
I
I
worked
don't
on
use.
the presentations team for Canva. That was my
So
job.
that's why. Is it? Are you still
Yeah.
getting some success fee for recommending Canva?
I get absolutely nothing at this point.
You should
You know,
negotiate something.
I work with the team. It was like 7 people when I joined
Crazy.
2019. Now there's like 60, like, I don't know, a lot of people in the presentation. I don't even know. I'm not allowed to disclose, I guess, I don't know how many, to be
A
honest,
lot.
a lot. You know, yeah, I was very lucky when I worked there. One thing I haven't said, but now I can because it's a long time ago. So when I worked for Canon Presentation, was the first product growth hire. I realized, oh my God, like, I don't know if I'm going to stay there. Like, it's so chaotic. It was
Can
so,
imagine.
and I
Yeah.
wasn't, at the time, I wasn't a product manager. I was a product growth manager, and there was some restructure in the product org. And then I realized, actually, it kind of sucks because I'm getting less paid, but I have more experience in other areas because I was classified in marketing. And I felt like really undervalued because I had offers before in San Francisco that were way higher, like product manager, because it's a specialized skill.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's bullshit. So I started like going to competitors, and I spoke with Pitch and other competitors because I want to get another offer. But then I realized I cannot leave Australia. It's so nice. And also the team is nice. And I kind of stopped trying, and I got the product manager role, but for a different area. But yeah, it was, that's how I know. I did a lot of competitive research on Pitch as well, and Figma and Google Docs, but they just don't have the distribution. So that's, I think, the problem. And Canva actually has link sharing, so password sharing and analytics. And I think in Pitch now the price point is $99, and in Canva it's included in Teams. So Canva is a bit shittier in terms of the UI, and it doesn't feel as expensive, but you saw what we can do with the video. So
No,
I
I
definitely
think you can do a lot.
recommend Canva to use because it's so cost efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
yeah,
honestly, I often also adapt to what the startup already has because often they have already a pitch deck,
yeah,
almost never
true.
building it from scratch, and then I use whatever they have and I adapt. But it's true that Canva is pretty easy to use as well. So maybe I should use more Canva.
No, you should use what the client needs. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And how can I help you? Like, what was the reason you came here today, and what can I do for you?
Yeah, maybe I can talk about the other side of what I want to build. So one side is actually this one-on-one support, but the other side, which I think is more interesting, is the bootcamp that I'm building. And this is basically, I'm teaching the same that I'm doing myself operationally in a one-on-one support, but it's kind of brought to the startup founders themselves that they can do it themselves. So for a lot of founders, obviously, this whole investment world is very new. And with the bootcamp, what I'm trying to do is get them into this world, understanding what opportunities do I have to get investment, from whom can I get it, how do VCs work, how do angels work, what is actually, how do I set up, how much money do I need, what is a valuation, how do I calculate my valuation, how do I approach investors, pitch deck, all these topics that we go through during 8 weeks. And the end goal is kind of that in these 8 weeks, we prepare everything already together and you can go out afterwards and fundraise. And I think the nice part now about running this first try run is that the founders actually also benefit a lot from each other. So there's a lot of exchange, and they find people where they're in a similar situation who want to fundraise, and they can also exchange a lot and kind of go on this journey together. And yeah, this is what I'm building. So obviously interested of hearing from you from a founder's perspective who has done already fundraising is like something you would, like consider or looking.
This is great. It's a very scalable way of doing it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, to me, you know me and stuff on how we did our fundraising, and I think I don't know why it worked, but it worked. I know why it works. Actually, I think I know why it works in reality. But I think these bootcamps are very important to give people some structured thinking, and I think it's also important to know that it's okay if you don't finish the fundraise. I think you need to try, and I think just putting your best foot forward, and obviously don't focus on it too much. I mean, I would love to have a session there on what to do if you don't do a fundraising. What options do you have? Like, how do you bootstrap, do it later, wait, how to bring yourself in a situation where you make fundraising later easier.
I mean, that's what you did kind of as well, no? I think you also tried to generate some additional revenue with the agency business or with the agency setup on the side.
It's not an agency business, it's an extended service from our
exactly. Sorry if I called it that. Extended, we can cut this out later. No, but this is kind of what I mean. Like, this is kind of also part of the bootstrapping. No, you try to generate with an extended service more revenue to actually invest it back into your core business that you want to grow, and brought you maybe a better position also towards investors. I think already those things are very interesting in how you can actually see the fundraising.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you did already a few very smart things in this direction.
Yeah, a lot of pain, obviously. I think one thing I hear also about is founder mental health and stuff. I mean, there is John Butterfield, I think he speaks about that. And yeah, I think that's definitely something as well. I think it's very hard. I never thought, I knew it is going to be hard, but I didn't know how hard it is.
Yeah.
I'm now on this journey. I think I won't stop for now. I will maybe make some adjustments, but I think it's really, really, really great how rewarding it is. But it's also very great the how hard it can get.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's also I think something I would love to, like in a course like that, just knowing what to do. I mean, there's a lot of advice out there and books I read, and I think the single most important thing is just create yourself like network of people who support you. Like even if it's angels with a small ticket, it doesn't matter if they invest 1,000 euro or 2,500. Make people invest in you as a person, so they will support you. Yeah. So some of the people that help me the most have small tickets and they care about me. And when things are really getting fucking hard, they just support.
Yeah, I think this is super important. So what would you do different if you would do it again, knowing that it's so extremely hard? Is there anything that you would do different also in terms of mental health? Because I think what I find interesting, everyone always says, yeah, it's super hard and I didn't expect it to be so hard. But then no one really talks about, okay, what can we actually do that you are prepared going into this?
Yeah.
Because obviously, if we're talking about mental health, I think you really need to set yourself up of having the right network, the right people surrounded around you. But what else would you do? Like, is there anything specific as well where you say, okay, this I would do different?
That's a really good question. It's also not that simple, so I will need to follow up. But to give you a quick answer, to me, what worked is, I think the co-working space, like going somewhere dedicated, especially if you come from a job, to have a structured day. So structure your day, go somewhere, don't stay at home if you can afford it. Also be in a place where other founders are, like a WeWork, or I'm now in VAccelerate, which is great. I was before in Ruby, that was more live. Here it's also live, but here we can have sales calls and that's awesome. So it's a more office style, but really have other people around you that do stuff like here. And then get yourself a psychologist and coach. Like I think everyone needs a psychologist, immense amount of pressure. and just know yourself so you can know your startup and others. But thankfully, I've been investing in my mental health psychology journey for more than 10 years. And then a coach, like someone who helps you make decisions in the business or situations. Obviously, when things go really, really bad,
Which it probably will.
they all become your psychologist temporarily, uninvited.
All your friends and your close family members.
Everyone becomes your psychologist temporarily. But I think for me, what I have done different is maybe I hadn't created a startup. Looking back, I mean, now I'm on this journey. It is simply for the reason because I lost my partner on the way. You know, she wasn't willing to go with me this journey anymore. And if I really had anticipated it on who I become, because I'm this working machine. I'm just working and I don't stop. I think if I had foreseen on the impact it will have on me and how it changes me, I probably, and the pain I experience of the loss, probably I hadn't started. I definitely hadn't started. I had been, okay, I'm gonna get another job. We're gonna have a family. This is great.
Yeah, I understand.
But now I think also you cannot change it. So I think just I don't know, if you have a partner and stuff, make sure that your relationship is prepared. You know, speak with them. Be very honest with them on, okay, if you have family plans, tell them you can't have a family for indefinite time. Till I don't know, till you're ready and you don't know when. Probably fundraising things helps, because if you have a lot of money, you can pay yourself a salary and you don't need to be poor as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just if you have a partner, make sure that you manage the expectations as good as you can. If you don't have a partner, prepare yourself on either finding one person or none. Like, don't date. Like, don't spend time dating. It's a waste of time. So
Are you giving now dating tips? I love it.
It's basically, if you're an aspiring founder who really wants to leave a mark, don't date. Yeah, it's not good for the business.
Okay, this is the best.
It's not good for the business. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't work. So either you live like a monk or you find another person.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. I think it's just really the rest is, it depends on your personality, what you need. For me, I really need, I think, a second person in my life. I didn't know that. And now it is very, very hard. Like now, I think obviously everything changed. My energy is also a little bit depleted, but you know, I'm coming back. So it's going to be all right. Yeah. I'm already back, but
you are already back.
Yeah, I'm already back.
It's a phase. Yeah.
Yeah. But you saw me in my ups and downs, partly.
Yeah, I mean, it's super tough. I think it has a huge influence on everyone who's very closely to you. And I see it with a lot of founders, but I find it also good that you speak about it, because I think not many do. And
really? Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think in the one-on-one talks, often people open up, but then obviously I think we don't speak enough about how hard it really is.
Yeah. I mean, also the mental health stuff is, you know, if you get depressions or you get to a certain point where it's really bad, stop working, you know, like, and no matter what comes afterwards, I think it's not worth it.
No, I agree.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's also, if I come to this point, I will stop.
Yeah.
And I experienced burnout before in my previous job, once in Meta. And then it takes like 2 months to get normal again, or 1.5 or so. And it just, it can take 3 months, or some people are depressed forever, I think. Yeah, and it's just really, really important to know your own limits in a way, right? Like what you need, like don't forget it entirely. Go out to fun stuff.
100%, yeah. It's a tough journey for sure. For every
Yeah, but very, very rewarding. Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good.
That's the other side, yes. Yeah.
What's your favorite scale up in the world?
In the world, wow. You're asking me questions. My favorite scale up.
Or startup, like any private company.
Putting me on the spot. My favorite startup. Well, it's really tricky, because I think like there are a few startups that are like on a more, you know, like lower level, let's say, that are more regional.
Yeah, start with them. Yeah, say, what is it? Yeah, can be.
So I really like actually also a previous customer, what they do, Treely, actually, they're from Austria. I really like the team. I really like what they do on a local level as well, and now trying to expand in the DACH region. So they do carbon credits for forest owners. So they certificate forest and then sell it to big companies. I think it's a very interesting space. I also do like a lot wood space. They do something completely different, but also had a huge success. So they actually in sustainable construction, so in wooden construction, also something not tech startup, but I really like it, what they're doing. And then I think obviously there are a lot of AI companies that are very interesting, but I'm not so drawn to this. I'm not such a tech fanatic, I would say. So I follow these things, but then I'm not really super impressed or inspired. I don't know. I like more the things that actually where I see they have like a local impact. And I'm also more a fan where there's a huge purpose behind. So I think those are more the startups that I follow or that I like. I couldn't
Yeah,
even call you. I couldn't even name so many scale ups where I'm like, oh, I would look every day what they're doing. This is
yeah,
not
of course
really
not.
what's for you? I don't know. Do you have
Yeah,
any?
one company I find really cool is Whatnot.
Mhm.
They have like a marketplace where people can trade and buy with social commerce.
Mhm.
And yeah, just fascinating company and cool stuff going on there. I think also from a growth angle, I think cool
Yeah.
place to do stuff,
Need to check them out.
whatnot. And then, so they basically bring social commerce to the West. That's how I would see it. It's like more a Asian thing, but they do it for the West, like for America, I think Europe too. And then, yeah, I think OpenAI is
Of
awesome.
course.
Like they have such a big impact. It's cool how they evolve the way of working. I don't think they will replace really everyone, but it's like they just evolve the way of working. And I do love everything that comes around it, specifically like the aspect that, you know, in our business we build all the operations around the eye and
Yeah.
it's very streamlined. And I could see that happening for a lot of companies. And it's really cool because it means that people can shift the focus on more strategic things. I don't think it means layoffs. I think it just means like people can actually focus on meaningful things, like what you said in with the investor introductions and stuff, that founders can focus on the
Yeah,
conversation,
true.
negotiation. And I'm quite excited for what's there to come. And we're
Yeah.
working really on some interesting stuff. I think I don't know how valuable it is, but it's valuable for us. So that
Yeah.
matters. And the last company obviously is Canva. I think I want Canva to succeed and become very, very successful, particularly the Canva presentations team, and but also all the other teams.
Just the presentations thing.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's also a company. Yeah. Hey, we are almost out of time. So
Yes.
before we stop, is there one thing that first you would tell your younger self about before you start? Like basically 10-year-old Jules, like what would you tell yourself?
I think,
You can actually pick an age.
yeah, I would really try to encourage her to think or be more daring to risk more, let's say it like this. I think I have been raised a lot to be very, like
Risk averse.
risk averse and very much getting a good job and earning money. I think this is what I've been taught. And I would try to tell myself to be much more entrepreneurial and risk more things and try to explore more things and yeah, be brave and like checking out what you really, really like to do instead of like just following one job or one idea that someone has put in your mind. And I think as a young person, that's very hard to decide. And if you especially, yeah, been grown up or raised where it was all about, hey, getting a good job is the most important thing. And then if you just earn your money, that's good. So I think my family was never very entrepreneurial. And I think it's very good to be open of how can you actually do things. And there are so many things how you can actually make business or a living. And I think I would just tell myself that to be open to all ideas that are out there and explore
Yeah,
much
yeah,
more. Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
Love it. Yeah. And what would you tell the audience? One message you have for the audience?
For the audience, well, go check out Fundraising Vampire actually and tell me what you think. So all early stage startups that are currently looking to fundraise, I'm curious to hear from you. So I'm always happy to also get feedback, and also if there are any investors that are interested in collaborating, also always happy to talk. But yeah, that's, I think, the message to the audience, I would say.
Great. Love it.
Nice.